Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Red Eyes Master 101, back for another video, and today we are doing the updated Red Eyes deck profile for you guys today. So, this is a new deck profile that I have kind of just made on the spot. I've added new cards, taken out old ones, and you know, it's just a lot better than what it was. So, let's do it. So, of course, to start off, you're going to be playing your triple Red Eyes Black Dragon. And this is basically the center of the deck. It allows you to go into all of your combos that you need to do. You know, it's the backbone. You know, it's like the main thing. It's the main monster. This is the guy that you play. Play 3 of these, obviously. No more, no less. And that's Red Eyes for you. And then the next one that you're going to play is the 1 copy of Dark Magician. Just so you can go into your Dragoon. And you'll see him a little later. But that's mainly the only reason you'll be playing him. Maybe you might be able to use him, summon him to play your rank 7 monsters, but really you're only using him to get Dragoon. And then next up, you're going to play double Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. This is just a good monster. It's also a level 7. It's really easy to get out. And Black Flare, it's a Gemini monster. And when it's Gemini summon, its effect is... let me get that in frame for you so you can read it. Its effect is, if you perform damage calculation with this, your opponent gets burnt for 2400 attack, which is really, really nice, but it's kind of hard to do that. But basically, you play 2. Sometimes they only have you play 1, but I'm playing 2 just to be a little more consistent. And then you're going to play the 1, Darkness Metal. This is just for, you know, this is just a good monster overall, because you can just special summon it by banishing a dragon type monster that you control, and then you can just special summon a dragon monster from your hand right away after. So this is just a really good card, and it's got okay attack, but mainly you dump it so you can burn your opponent for 14 with Black Comet Dragon, but we'll get into him later. And of course, you're going to play the 1, Blackstone Legend. I would be playing 2, but I only have the 1. But Blackstone Legend basically just lets you get into your Red Eyes a little bit easier. It's a bit slow because you have to tribute it, but the tribute is in effect and not a summon. So you can normal summon this, tribute it off, and get your Red Eyes if you don't have any combo starters. Then next, of course, you're going to be playing 2 Black Metal Dragon. This card is just really good because it allows you to get into... It just allows you to equip it to your Red Eyes monsters, giving them 600 attack. You're never going to really be using this, but mainly what you do is you set it, so then your opponent attacks into it, and then you can dump it to the grave and then get a Red Eyes card. It doesn't have to be a monster. It can be a spell, trap, anything from your deck. Alright, and then we are going to be playing triple Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha. This guy's really good because you can just special summon him basically straight from your hand if you don't control any effect monsters. And this allows you to go into Flare Metal Dragon. So that's good. And because he's a level 7. And, you know, it's got a decent body of 2500 defense, but that's the only reason why you play it is to get into Flare Metal. Then you'll be playing 2 Keeper of Dragon Magic, so you can get into your Red Eyes Fusion easier. And it's just a good body of 1800 attack, and it also allows you to special summon monsters. So you can reveal a fusion monster, and then you can special summon a card specifically listed on it. So you could special summon a Red Eyes or whatever fusion monster you need. And then, of course, you're going to be playing the one level 6 dragon type monster. I just have Neo Kaiser Glider because it looks cool. But that's basically it. He doesn't really see play on the field, but I just use him to fuse for Black Comet Dragon. And then you're going to be playing 2 fusion. I would be playing 3, but I only have the 2, so obviously you're just going to be playing 2. And then this allows you to fuse from the deck, which is really, really good. Fusing from the deck is a amazing effect, and it just lets you get into your Meteor Black Comet Dragon and your Dragoon really easy. And then, of course, we're going to be playing Triple Insight, so then you can get into your fusion with it, and then you just dump a Red Eyes monster from your deck to grave or from hand to grave to grab a Red Eyes card from your deck to hand. And then we're going to be playing 2 Infernal Fire Blasts just to burn your opponent, mainly, so then you can... it's just to burn your opponent. There's a good FTK that you can do with Blast. It's really easy to get out. All you need is 1 Blast, 1 Fusion, and 1 Insight. And I'll be going over combos in this video as well, so we'll get into that later. Next, you'll be playing 2 Cards of the Red Stone. This is basically Pot of Greed, but you have to dump a Red Eyes, which is fine because you have a lot of recovery options to get them back, and basically it just lets you draw 2 cards, and then after that you can send a level 7 Red Eyes monster from your deck to grave, which is pretty good too. Allows you to recover special summon stuff, you know, it's a pretty good card. Then of course we'll be playing Triple Allure of Darkness, another Pot of Greed basically, and you just banish a dark type monster from your hand to the grave, banish it, not to the grave, but you banish a dark type monster, and then that allows you to draw 2. But if you don't have a dark type monster, you have to banish your entire hand. But you just, mainly you're going to definitely have dark type monsters, because all we have is dark types in this deck. Then we'll be playing Triple Return of the Dragon Lords. This is basically just Monster Reborn, but better. It allows you to special summon a level 7 or 8 monster from your graveyard, and then if it were to be destroyed by any means, you can just banish this from your graveyard instead. So it's a lot better than Monster Reborn. And then I will get to the one-ofs. We have 1 Called by the Grave. That's your anti-Ash engine, and it just lets you not be affected by Ash Blossom, because you can just play this instead, and then that doesn't let it be, and because it's a quick play, it goes first, and then Ash is negated because of this. And then you play your 1-for-1 to special summon the Blackstone of Legend. You only play 1 of this because, well, it's limited, but you only play 1 because you don't need, you're rarely going to get that in your hand, and if you do, then, well, good for you, because you can special summon your Blackstone Legend and then tribute that off for the, to get a Red Eyes straight to your field. So that's a good card. And then, Twin Twisters, not much to be said here, discard a card, destroy 2 spell traps on the field, and then, yeah, that's basically all it does. And then, Silver's Cry is basically a Monster Reborn, but a quick play Monster Reborn. It's kind of like Return of the Dragon Lords, but it doesn't have the graveyard effect. So it's just, I rarely ever get that in my hand. Then Foolish Burial to dump Red Eyes, so then you can get, you know, so then you can Silver's Cry it, you know, Return of the Dragon Lords it, you know, anything. And then you play 1 Dark Hole just to get rid of monsters. Destroy all monsters on the field. Mainly, if you get Dark Hole, you would use this on your second turn, so then your opponent doesn't have any monsters, and you can set up really, really easily with that. And then, of course, you play just the 1 standard Monster Reborn, just to recover better. And now we're going to the traps. First off, we play play 2 Return of the Red Eyes. This is really good. It's also it's another Monster Reborn, basically, but trap form, and it's continuous. So you activate it when you control a Red Eyes monster, and then it just lets you special summon a normal Red Eyes normal monster from your grave, and you can do that once per turn. So you just play 2 of that. And then you play Double Fang with Chain. This is a good card because it lets you equip it to your monster, and then they can attack twice, and then you can also send it from your field to the grave, and then you can take control of one of your opponent's monsters and equip it to your other monster, and then it gains the attack, and then its attack, your monster's attack, becomes the attack of the other monster. But mainly you use it to just get rid of your opponent's monsters, so then they lose advantage and things. And then here's Spirit again. This is another Monster Reborn. You just special summon a Red Eyes monster, so it can be anything. So it can be the Black Flare. It could even be just it could be a fusion, synchro, anything like that. Then you're gonna play your Triple Mirror Force just for protection purposes. You rarely get this in your hand. It's just good to play because nobody really ever plays Mirror Force, and if they do, then they're cool because Mirror Force is actually a really good card, and most people don't have defense against it, so it's a really uncommon card to play, but I play it. And then let's get on to the side deck here. So we'll go with the monsters first. So I play one Veiler. Basically, you just send it from your hand to grave, and you can target one monster on the field, on your opponent's side of the field, and its effects are negated. So that's a good card. This is a really good disruptor. It basically doesn't let your opponent do anything. And then we have, I'll do the Ghost Sisters. So we have 1 Ghost Ogre, Snow Rabbit, 1 Ghost Reaper, and 1 Ghost Belle. So Ghost Belle is basically Ash, but for the graveyard. And that just doesn't let your opponent special summon from grave, banish from grave, add anything from grave to hand. So, I mean, it's a really good card. And then Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries can banish stuff from extra deck. So if you have something the same as your opponent's extra deck, and you know that you're not going to use it that duel, you can just banish it. And then your opponent doesn't have access to that card. And then Ghost Ogre just basically lets you negate spells and traps. So those are the Ghost Sisters. And then we have our Droll Knockbird. This is basically Effect Veiler, but a little better because it doesn't let your opponent use effects at all. Actually, it doesn't let either player use effects, I think, so it stops all effects for the rest of the turn, and it's just a really good card. Then we have 1 Phantasme. This is really good because it lets you special summon it from your hand if your opponent link summons, and most people are going to link summon. So if you can whip out the Phantasme, and that's another level 7, and it's got 2400 attack, it's a pretty good body, and then it also has protection, which is pretty good too. And then we have the 1 Nibiru. This is a really good card. If your opponent special summons more than 5 times, or if your opponent special summons 5 or more times, you can just negate all the summons, special summon this to your side of the field, and then they get a token. And it's just also a really good card. I really want 3 of these, but I only have the 1 for right now. And then we're getting to the traps. So I play Double Impermanence. This is a really good card. It's basically another, it's basically another Ash, or it's basically another Veiler or Droll Knockbird. So you can set it, and then whatever column you set it in, let's say I set it in the middle, if you flip it, your opponent can't activate effects in that column. So that's really good. And then it also, if you don't control any cards at all, you can use this from your hand, even though it's a trap. And then we play the Double Evenly Matched. I would play 3 Impermanence, and I would play 3 Evenly Matched, but I don't have 3, I only have the 2. Evenly Matched is basically where if you control no monsters and your opponent controls monsters, you can make them banish all those monsters, so then you're evenly matched, as the card says. And then also you can also use this card from your hand as well if you don't control any cards. And then onto the spells, I do 1 Feather Duster, which destroys all spell and traps on your opponent's side of the field, so that's really good. 1 Lightning Storm can do the same thing, but it can also do monsters, and you can't control any cards to do that, but that's really good. And then Mistaken Arrest, so there's no effects at all. So it's just, these are all just hand traps. So that was the side deck, and now let's get into the extra. The extra deck, which is going to be mainly Lynx, but we have our 2 fusions, our couple Xyz monsters and things. So first off, you're going to be playing your most useful card, the most used card in the deck. You're going to be playing the 1 Dragoon. This card is crazy. I'm going to read you its effect, and you guys can just listen to this. So basically, it can't be destroyed by battle. It can't be destroyed by card effects, and neither player can target this card with effects. And during your main phase, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. And you can use the effect. You can use the effect a number of times equal to that. Equal to the number of normal monsters used for this fusion summon. So you can destroy basically 2 monsters on your opponent's side of the field and make them take damage equal to that attack. And mainly, the main way that you summon Dragoon, you don't use an effect monster. You use a Red Eyes and Dark Magician to get this out. And then, what it can do is it has a quick effect. When a card or effect is activated, you can discard a card and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that. And then it gains 1,000 attack permanently. So it becomes a 4,000 attack beater. And you can just, twice per turn, destroy 2 monsters your opponent controls and make them take damage. So this card is crazy good, really easy to get out. And, you know, it's the most expensive card in the deck. This is a really good card. I just pulled this, 3 days ago? And, or 2 days ago, whatever it was. And this is just a crazy card for the deck. Then you play, of course, the 1 Meter Black Comet Dragon. This card is also really good. It's not as good as Dragoon, but it gets the job done. So basically, you fusion summon it, and you can send a Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck to grave, and then if you do, you inflict damage equal to your opponent. Equal to half the attack of the monster that you sent. So mainly what you're going to send is you're going to send the Darkness Metal to the grave so they can take 1,400, because that's your biggest attack monster in the deck. So then they take 14, and then what you do is, well, I'll get into the combo, but and then if it dies, it floats into a Red Eye. So it's a pretty good floater, and you know, it can burn your opponent, so I run 1. And that's why I have the Kaiser Glider in there, because it requires a Red Eyes and a level 6 Dragon monster. Then we will get into the Xyz here. We, of course, play 1 Flare Metal Dragon. This card is really good. It basically makes your opponent pay 500 life points if they do literally any effect. And it also can't be destroyed by card effects while it has an Xyz material. So, and mainly you're never going to get rid of Xyz material because and the only reason why you would detach an Xyz material is then you can special summon a Red Eyes monster from your grave. And most people aren't going to do that. You're just going to summon this, keep it on the field, and every time your opponent activates card effect, 500 life points are gone, and it can't be destroyed by card effects at all. So this is a really good card. And it has 2,800 attack. You can equip it with black metal to make it 34, but, I mean, it's just good either way. And then, of course, you're going to be playing the 1 Big Eye, so then you can steal your opponent's monsters for the turn, and it's just another interruption. So then your opponent can't have their monsters. Like if they summon, let's say they summon in Appaloosa or something, and it's being really annoying, you can just Big Eye that and take it from them. And then it can do it. It can do it once, and then, but of course it has 2. And then, of course, when you activate the effect, it can't attack this turn, but it's still, even if it gets negated, it still has 2600 attack, which is pretty good. But Big Eye is mainly used just for the stealing your monster's cards. So this one I don't really play too often, but we have Dark Rebellion Xyz. I would mainly use this off of the two Keeper Dragon Magic, but basically what this does is you can target a monster your opponent controls, it loses half of its attack, and then Dark Rebellion gains that, and it can do it twice per turn. So, well, actually you have to detach 2, but you can do it once per turn. I thought it was 2. Oops, I guess I was wrong. But it's still, it's a somewhat decent card. I don't really play it too often, and so it's just in there because it's in there. And now let's get on to the links. So I play one Boral Sword Dragon. This card is really good. It's a Link 4, has really good arrows, and it's, 3000 attack. And it's just Boral Sword Dragon. Boral Sword Dragon is just good either way. It's just a good Link monster to get out. And I never really get into this guy, but it works. I've gotten into him a few times, and I've won games because of it. So, and then we play the one Trigate. This monster I rarely ever use, but he basically can just interrupt. He can destroy monsters, banish monsters, negate stuff. And 2200 attack. He's only requires 3 monsters, but it can be more than 3. He's just a really good card, and it comes with a structure deck. So you get a really good card with one structure deck. Then we play the one Trisbana. This card is in there just because you can banish if a monster is summoned to if a monster is summoned to a arrow that this points to, you can banish as many spells and traps on the field as possible, and then you inflict damage to equal, and then you inflict 500 damage for each card banished by this effect. So, it's good because it's a burn. It can burn your opponent, and it just gets rid of spells and traps. So, it's good. And then we play the one Twin Triangle. I literally never use it. It's just good because you can pay 500 life points, and then you can just special summon a monster from your grave, and then it can attack, but it lets you go into your Xyz monsters and all that stuff. And then we play one Linkuriboh. This is just to save me from death if it ever happens, because you can just tribute it and make sure, and then you don't take battle damage, and your monster the monster that this card points to doesn't get destroyed. So it's just a good card. And then we play one Proxy Dragon, just because it's a good card and it doesn't let your monsters get destroyed, because if it's pointing to it, so let's say you link Kuriboh and then you link Proxy Dragon under it, you can whatever card or monster that it points to, so let's say you have one on either side, if this were to get destroyed, you can just destroy if a monster you control were to be destroyed by a card effect. So if one of these was gonna get destroyed, it can pop itself so that it doesn't die. And then we play the one Hieratic Seal. This card is good because you can special summon a dragon monster from your hand or deck by tributing this. So you summon it, you tribute it, and special summon a dragon monster from your hand or deck, which lets you go into other plays. So that was the deck profile. Now let's get into some of the combos that we're gonna do. All right, so we'll go into the first combo, which is Meteor Black Dragon. Meteor Black Comet. So that's the first one. This is the main one. So you want to have a fusion in your hand. Okay? A fusion in your hand. An insight in your hand. And an Infernal Fire Blast in your hand. And you can have anything else. So let's say you have Black Flare and a Mirror Force in your hand. Alright, you can have anything else. So what you're going to do, this is your hand. Alright, so what you're going to do first is you're going to activate Insight. And then you're going to send a Red Eyes monster from deck to grave. So you're going to send your Red Eyes from deck to grave. Alright. To grab your second Infernal Fire Blast. So now that's in your hand. So that goes to the grave. And now this is your hand. Okay? So you have 2 blasts and a fusion. Then what you do is you activate Fusion to fuse your Red Eyes and your Neo Kaiser Glider. So those goes to the grave, and then you summon your Meteor Black Comet Dragon. Alright? He's got 3,500 attack. See that? Come on, focus. Focus. Well, he's got 3,500 attack. And a stipulation about Red Eyes Fusion is that it makes the name of whatever card that you just fused Red Eyes Black Dragon, which helps. And then what you're going to do is you're going to activate Meteor Black Comet Dragon's effect to send Darkness Metal from deck to grave. And then your opponent takes 1,400 damage, and then you're going to activate both Infernal Fire Blasts to deal 7,000 points of damage, and that's the FDK. So they'll take 8,400 points of damage, and then you win on your first turn. So that's the one. And then what you want to do is you just basically, all you need for this next one is literally all you need is just Fusion. Is Red Eyes Fusion, and that's it. Because Red Eyes Fusion lets you fuse from deck and hand. So even if you have a Dark Magician or the Neo Kaiser Glider in your hand, it doesn't matter. Because you can just summon them from field, deck, or hand. Which is really, really good. So, let's get a mock hand going here. So we have these, an Insight, and then our Fusion. Alright, so this is our mock hand. Basically what you're doing is you're just getting out Dragoon. So this is our mock hand. So first you're going to start off with Fusion. Alright, send it to the grave, and send Dark Magician and Red Eyes to the grave to summon out your Dragoon to the field. Okay, and we're going to assume that it's your second turn, that you got second turn, and your opponent has basically a full board of monsters, right? And let's say that they have like two 2,500 attack monsters on the field, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to activate its effect because you have the double normal monsters in your grave, you can pop both of those monsters and make your opponent take damage equal to their attack. So that's like 5,000 attack, 5,000 damage right there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to Insight to send a Red Eyes to grave and grab 1 blast and activate it. So then you burn your opponent for 3,000 damage, and then you win the game. And then, of course, you know, you have all the ways to get negated and stuff, but Dragoon is really good because it just can't be destroyed by by a card effect, and it can't be targeted, which is really, really nice. Dragoon is just like the most integral part of this deck. And I am very glad that I finally pulled that, because I was just going to buy it if I didn't pull it. But I appreciate you guys watching this video on my deck profile and my combo tutorial. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And this has been Red Eyes Master 101. And I'm signing out. Peace.